Hi guys, this is just a short screencast on how to pass P2 corporate reporting. So have you got the text? I'm sitting with it here and I'm looking at it, but don't panic. It is massive, there's so much in it, but just bear in mind that this is, there's quite a lot of computations in this exam, so a lot of it could be, maybe examples working through the questions. We can deal with this okay, don't worry. Bite-sized chunks is the way forward. You can break up this syllabus into small sections to make it more manageable. So never fear, this is such a doable exam. So what is this exam? This is P2 corporate reporting, and it's basically building on F7. So you'll have dealt with, the fundamental issues on groups and the different areas of accountancy. But whenever you're coming to this stage, they're going to be more complex. So groups are going to be turning into complex groups, whether they're vertical groups or D-shaped groups. So this is going to bring in various different elements to this group accounting, which you have already established from F7. So the exam is 3 hours, and the first two questions are compulsory, and then you have a choice. So some people like the fact that you get a choice because obviously if there's a question that you're maybe not comfortable with, then you don't actually have to do it. However, it does actually bring added pressure in the exam because you need to then make that decision on what you're actually going to be doing. Now you get 15 minutes reading time at the start, so whether or not you choose to go and flick through to the back and see what questions you're going to do during that time is completely up to you. Looking at the examiner's report, he was saying about the last P2 exam, candidates should practice divergent thinking, which is the ability to think of several possible answers to a question before providing the solution. So what he's trying to get at here is probably in the exam a lot of people start to, you get under pressure and you panic a bit and you see something in a question and think, I know how to do this, and you just go for it and you spew everything out onto the page that you know about that topic, and you maybe perhaps haven't hit on the issues that the examiner was wanting you to hit on. So what you need to do in the exam is slow down and just try and understand what the examiner's actually looking for here. And one good way of being able to do this is if you practice a lot of the past exam questions, you're going to sort of see what the examiner's trying to home in on these various different questions by the way he asks the questions. So what do you need to do? Like any exam, you need to plan. You know when the exam is. It's either in June or December, so you know how many weeks or months you have to get through the syllabus and practice all the questions that you can possibly to do before this exam. So once you have made this plan, whether it's going through, so many chapters a night or so many chapters a week, whatever it is, stick to it. If somebody's ringing you and saying, do you want to come out for a night, and you have planned to sit down and maybe cover 2 chapters or do a couple of past paper questions, just say no. You're only putting your life on hold for this short period of time, and you can catch up with them after you've done this exam. So try and stick to what you've planned to do. Otherwise you're going to fall behind and you're going to create more pressure for yourself in order to try and keep up. Another thing we talk about a lot in ICCL Belfast is, what is your motivation? What is going to keep you going on that rainy Friday night whenever you're sitting there not wanting to do any studying and people are going out to the pub or whatever they're going to be doing? What's going to keep you going? Is it going to be buying this, lovely speedboat that you can see your man here standing on? Is it going to be, getting a better job so you can go on loads of holidays? Whatever it is, no matter how stupid it might seem to somebody else, keep this in mind to try and keep you focused on this exam, and it will get you through. So here we have a quote from Albert Einstein: "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." So what are we meaning by this? Well, really, we're getting a lot of students coming in and saying, I keep failing this exam, or maybe I'm getting very low marks, and I'd rather have get comfortable marks in passing, so more than 55% or whatever. You don't need it, but some people just would feel more comfortable going into the exam, a bit more prepared. And whenever we're saying, well, what are you doing? They're saying, we're going through the chapters and we're reading the study text over and over again. I've read it 3 times and I know everything. Doing this over and over again is not going to help you either pass this exam or achieve the results that you want to achieve. The only way that you're going to be able to do this is by doing loads of questions. The study kit, the exam question kit that you can get from either Kaplan or BPP, this is basically going to be your Bible. This is what you actually need to be looking at constantly throughout the course. Questions, questions, questions. You seriously can never do enough questions in preparation for this exam, especially on group accounting. just because question one is so big that there's so many issues you're dealing with, and you need to actually literally practice how you're going to lay out your answer and how you can then go back and pinpoint the various different calculations that you have done and pick out the figures that you're going to actually be putting into maybe your consolidated income statement or your statement of financial position. And this is the only way that you're actually going to be able to pass this exam, is if you practice what you're going to be doing actually on the day. So thoughts, let me see, groups. So these can be complex groups. We're talking about vertical groups, D-shaped groups, associates, things like this. Now there's a lot for question one that you actually need to know, but there's a really, really good structure that you can have in place before you go into the exam. There's going to be another screencast, and it's going to take you through the various workings that you should know, and you should be able to just literally pick out the figures and slot them into these various different workings. Not only is this going to give you a structure for your answer, but it's going to take a lot of pressure off you in the exam. So having a good structure and a good technique is going to be key for going into this P2 exam. So the changes in the technical areas, they're normally noted at the front of the Kaplan text. So you can have a look through the changes maybe in IFRS 9. These can come up in exam questions, and the changes, there's going to be a lot of articles that are going to be written on them. So try and look at these and just try and keep up to date with any changes in the accountancy world that's going to affect P2. So use the syllabus as well. Like for any exam, you need to go through and look at the syllabus and see what areas are going to actually be covered and what are the important parts of those areas, because basically the examiner is going to use this syllabus to try and base his exam on it. So you should be using it not only to plan your course, but coming up to the exam, whenever you're in your revision stage, you should be using this as your checklist, going through it and basically ticking off what you've done, and then maybe using it to try and springboard ideas off. So where have I seen this in the question? Oh yes, I remember doing that question there. Oh, I made a mistake on this. What was it? To try and sort of, keep everything to the forefront of your mind. Just, use it just as a wee reminder of everything that you should have learnt and should be, bringing into this exam. The technical articles as well, definitely use these for P2. It's a really good way of just, maybe having a relaxing, well, if studying can never be relaxing, you can just sit down for 10 minutes and read a paper, and it might even just, make something click in your mind. And quite often they're written by the examiner, so who else better to get tips from than the examiner himself? And it might just, go through maybe a question or a scenario from a past paper. It just might make something fall into place that perhaps you've been struggling with. So basically for this exam, you need to plan, you need to stick to your plan, don't panic, definitely don't panic, and try and keep up to date and use the resources that ACCA are giving you, what the examiner's given you on their website. You go into accaglobal.com and look at technical articles for P2. There's loads of them. Obviously you don't need to read them all, but just for certain areas that perhaps you maybe need a better understanding for, try and use them and try and make key notes from them as well. Anyway, good luck with P2. I'm sure you'll all do great. Thanks.